Today we're going to be making a business card holder, and this is part of a series that I've been doing, and I make these and I sell them on my Etsy site, and they sell pretty good. This one happens to be for a lawyer, and it has a scales of justice on the top, and down on the bottom we have a little mallet, as a judge would use perhaps. The way this works is this backing is cut out first, and a nice piece of wood. You can mix your woods, or you can use the same type of wood if you like. And then this I call it a front lip, is cut out next, and then from a block of wood, whatever you want to choose from, could be maple, cherry, something like that, something nice and attractive. These are placed on top of it. This toward the back of the block, and this toward the front, with a space in between, so you can put business cards, stand them up. Now, prior to this, I had another design where I had just the scales of justice on the same plane as the front lip here. But the problem is, of course, is that if you put the cards up against the scale of justice, you can't see the scale of justice. So it sort of takes away from the attractiveness of the piece. So what I did was I put this little panel in here about the size of a business card, and you can stack your business cards up there, or you can lay them against it, either way, and you can still see the different pieces of the business card holder. So we're going to build this today. I'm going to start by making our cuts and then eventually assembling it. So stick around. Okay, I've got this nice piece of cherry here. It's just about the right size of what I need. I'm going to use part of it for the back piece with the scales of justice on it, and the other piece is going to be for the front lip. What we got to do is cut these down to size first, and then I'm going to put some painter's tape over the board. And then I'm going to fasten this scale of justice piece down, and the other piece to the boards, and we'll be ready to cut on our scroll saw. Okay, I've cut these down to more workable sizes. The first thing, as I said before, is I'm going to take this and make it into a board with some tape on it. I use the painter's tape. You can use box tape, shipping tape. You can use the blue tape if you like color blue rather than the color green, or you can use the yellow tape if you prefer that one. Doesn't make any difference as long as you got something on here. Why are you putting the tape down? Well, you have to glue down the pattern later on, and you don't want it really sticking to the board. You want something that will peel off the board nice and easy, and this painter's tape does the job nicely. Okay, now you got that fastened down. What you do is flip it over, and I take a box cutter and just shave off these pieces on the end. If you don't do that, they'll probably get in the way as you start your cutting. Okay, so we take that and we'll put it aside for the moment. Put this one over here, because it's going to be for our front lip. Put tape on that too. Piece there. There's almost double layers it here, so get a lot of the tape area covered, board area covered, sorry. And also the tape will help when you're cutting this on your scroll saw. The lubricant, the glue on the tape acts as a lubricant for your cutting, so the blade cuts more smoothly and less chance of breakage and things of that sort. Okay, now we take our patterns that we cut out, okay, and this is going to be the scales of justice, of course, and I like to use a glue stick. You can use other adhesives, but I don't like to spraying any more than I have to. So take our glue stick and just glue the back of this. It's okay if you got little lumps in it, it's not a big problem. Spread that out on there. Okay. And take your board that you're going to be using and lay a pattern on it very nicely. And of course, rub it down really good so that it sticks to the board nicely. Right, there's one done. We'll take our other piece, and what we ought to do probably is use the bottom of this, so we'll just cut this off right along the bottom edge. No need it. We won't have any reason to cut that later on. Put our glue stick back to work. The counter gets a little messy here, but after a while I'll just clean it up later on. You can use some water if you really just leave it, as I sometimes do. You can always just sand it down, get all that stuff off of there later on. But it's not really a big problem. Okay. Glue this one down nicely. Alright. So we got our two blanks ready to go. And when these are done, they'll be cut out of a nice piece of cherry. I'm using cherry for both of these. You could have used a darker wood on here, like walnut, for example, or a lighter wood like maple, if you want to get some contrast, but I'm going to go with the same. Alright, now I'm going to take these over to the drill press, and we're going to drill out the holes, the entry holes we're going to need for our scroll saw cutting. Okay, we're over at the drill press now. We're going to take these and drill the holes that we need for entry. Very simple hole drilling there. And here, we have only two holes in that one and one in this one. Nice and easy, get us started with our cutting. Okay, here we are over at the scroll saw. This is where we're going to do our cutting. I'm going to try to keep my hand out of the way here so you can see where I'm cutting, but sometimes I might cover it up accidentally. Just run your blade through the entry hole that was cut. And I'm using a number 5 reverse tooth blade on here. Hopefully it won't break on me. Here we go. Okay, inside is cut on the, and now we'll just go around the outside edges to finish it off. got the little front piece. This is going to be on the front of the business card holder, and it's going to hold the cards in place so they don't slide off the lock. Let me just peel the tape off. Okay. Okay, now I'm ready to do the other piece, the scales of justice, as I call them. Just 2 inside cuts, and then we cut around the edges, and we'll have the backing done. Okay. Here we go. Okay, this is the backing piece. Came out pretty good. And there was a little bit of chatter when I was cutting, of course. It's primarily because I was trying to keep my hands off of the pieces so you could see what was being cut. But if you hold it down really firmly as you're cutting it, you shouldn't have much in the way of chatter at all. It should cut rather smoothly. Now, this is going to be the back of the business card holder. Cards, as I said, would be placed right up against that, and it will make a nice display when it's done. So let's peel the pattern off of here. Pattern should peel off pretty easy, and this is not a lot of little pieces here to work with, so it should peel off kind of simply. Might break on an occasional spot, but as long as you don't break the wood, you're okay. Be very careful in peeling off too, because these are a little bit flimsy. You don't want those to break on you. If you leave them alone, they'll be okay. Just handle it with caution. All right, so we've got our 2 pieces done. Let's move on now to the base. And we're back at the workbench now, and what we want to do is make a base for our business card holder. And it should be a good sturdy base, so I've selected a little piece of ambrosia maple that I had. It has a nice grain in it and marking, and once it's sanded down and finished off, it's going to look real nice. So we figure the base of our backing for the business card holder is about 4.5 inches wide, and this is about 5 inches, so this will be just about right, I think. It's going to be placed toward the back, and this is going to be placed toward the front. Now we're going to cut this down, of course, in size. We don't need anything this huge, but this I think is going to be a very appropriate type of base for our project. What we have to do is cut it down. Let's just do this by eyeball here. I think probably be your best bet. I want to get this. I want to leave this little grain here. I'm going to put this toward the front, and we'll leave enough space for cards between it. So that would bring us back to about. We're going to have a little bit of back on it here too. So about 2.5 inches. If we cut it 2.5 inches wide, we should have a pretty good area. So I figured 2.5 inches from there to there. All right, we're going to take this over to the table saw and cut that off and get this base going. All right, we're at the table saw. We're going to cut this block for usage as a base. It was I figured 2.5 inches, but I think I'm going to go 2 3/4, because I got an idea as I was walking over here. as I sometimes do. I just want to make sure that it's going to cut off nice and neat. Rough the edges up on this base so that it has a stressed look about it. I think it'll go along really nicely with the pattern in the wood. So first of all, let's do our cut here. Piece cut now, 2 3/4 inches by about 5 inches this way. You got our nice little grain there. In the front, you're going to have a nice little grain in the wood as well on the edges. It's going to be roughed up around the edges, so it looks like it's been through the ages, which is fine. And make a nice little base. Instead of going back to the bench, I think we'll just go right to our next step, which is going to be to do some sanding. What we want to do is we're going to use the belt sander to do this. I want to first of all sand down the surfaces on these pieces. They're a little rough hewn, and even though it is going to be a rustic look to it, I think they should be a little bit smoother than they are. So first we're going to do this. It's going to get a little noisy, so be prepared. Okay, that's smoothed out the surfaces on these pieces very nicely. Normally I would use a dust mask, but I figured I'm going to be talking here and it's going to be a pain in the neck, so I let that go. We also have my overhead filter going as well, but I want to keep it as quiet as possible. So if you're going to do this, you want to wear a mask while you're doing it. And also, while you're running these on the belt, be very careful with your fingers. You don't want to, unless you want a quick manicure here, you don't want to touch that belt while it's spinning. I've done this quite a few times, so I know exactly what I'm up against. Had a few manicures myself. But you want to hold this down very lightly so that it gives a nice smooth surface on your piece. And we're going to smooth this out a little bit more, even on the sanding mop after. But just wanted to point out how I do this point. Now what we're going to do with the base is, first of all, we're going to smooth it out, and then we're going to rough up the edges, and this is going to be the top. So we want to make the edges rough by using the edge of the belt sander. So let's give this a shot. Okay, I just wanted to smooth out the surface nicely to begin with. Same with the bottom and the sides. But now we're going to try a little bit of roughing up, see what happens. Now, there's no science to this. There's no science to this. You just simply move it around as best you can. Be careful with your hands again. You don't want to cut yourself or scrape yourself on here. But you got a nice hewn edge all the way around, so it looks very rustic looking. You could even mark up some of the inside, but I'm going to leave that alone on this particular item. All right, let's go back to the bench. All right, back at the bench here now, and you can see the edges of the wood, how roughed up it looks. And I'm going to run this over the sanding mop also. This ambrosia maple is a very soft wood, evidently, and so it's really easy to get these edgings done. Just got to be careful you don't overdo it. Okay. Okay, I'm over here at the sand flea now. My little sanding mop and my sanding roller here to smooth out a few things. First of all, we'll run the base over this a little bit to get the surface take the edges, sanding mop, run over the edges here. We're also going to take the backing on the front lip and give it a little run over the sanding mop to get rid of the fuzzies along the edges here. If you do this with a fragile piece, you want to hold those fragile pieces so that they don't get removed. Notice if you put too much pressure on the wheel here, it tends to slow down. It doesn't have a brand new torque in sanding mop I put on here, and it tends to offer more resistance, which you really don't need at this particular point. But you're going to run this very, very lightly over here. You don't want to have it down too tight. But if you do press down on it, be sure to hold the little pieces so that they don't break apart. All right, let's go back to the bench and let's start to assemble this thing. Alright, we're back at the bench again, and as I said before, there's no rocket science to this. It's very easy. We're going to use this as the one as the front of the base because it's got that nice little grain there. This side is a little too much off, but this would be a nice front piece. We're going to take this and we're going to glue it down, and again we'll just sort of eyeball it. I'm not going to use a ruler to measure it. I think we can eyeball it very nicely. Put a little bit of glue on the bottom. Just need a touch there. Doesn't really need quite a bit. Have to stick it down to the wood. Okay, we'll just lay it down here roughly where we think it's going to look good. That looks pretty good right there, I think. That's about right. And then we're going to take our clamps. That's why we have these little lips out on the sides of the pattern. Put a clamp on that side. And we'll put a clamp on this side. And that will hold that down really nice. Now the front piece, of course, is where the cards are going to be held up against by the front lip. So you want to put a little glue on that. Again, you don't need a huge amount of glue. Just a little bit will do fine. And again, just sort of eyeball it. So where you think it would look good. I think right about there. Plus you got a lot of room for cards in the middle. And a couple more clamps on this. We'll do it nicely. Clamp this side down. Okay, I'm going to take a little break now and let it rest there until it's dry. We'll come back and we'll put a finish on it and we'll be just about done. Okay, the glue is all dried and I've taken the finished business card holder here and put it on my finishing table, which is really nothing more than a piece of cardboard. But I laid it down flat so that when I spray it, the spray will lay down flat and dry flat. If you spray it while it's standing up on end, you risk the chance of getting running down the sides. So I lay it down flat, and I have these little wedges here. So if for example, here I can put one underneath so that it holds it nice and level. If I were to do the other side, I flip it over, As you can see, it goes down quite a bit. But if I have my wedge here, I can take it and put it underneath. I'm going to just stop for a moment here and get it set up. Okay, I put the wedge under it, and I can move it up and down as far as I want, so I can get it nice and level, and I can spray the back sides and the edges without having that running. So we'll start by doing the back side first. It's nice and level there. I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Clear. This is a semi-gloss, which will give it a nice finish. Okay, here we go. Okay, we'll let that dry. Come back to this a couple of times, and when we're done, of course, it'll be all finished. Well, that pretty well finishes the project. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you really liked watching this video, click the little like button down below, and you might even want to think about subscribing too. If you click the subscribe button, you'll be alerted when I put up a new video in the future. Thank you for watching.